The Switch OLED is delayed until 2022. Someone called the circus because we've got a lot of Nintendo news to juggle this week. We've got a possible delay for the Nintendo Switch OLED. We've got leaks for the upcoming Nintendo Direct. We've got a WarioWare review. We've got some Nintendo drama. We've got the elusive Nintendo PlayStation and more. Be sure to stick around. All know Nintendo and PlayStation have been bitter competitors since the beginning of time, or so we thought. Dun, dun, dun! It turns out in 1991, they had a very short-lived collaboration. What most thought were just legend ended up becoming reality. The world's first hybrid console featuring an SNES cartridge slot and a CD drive, with both formats available to game developers. That product, called the PlayStation, would never see the light of day. And a lot of people thought it didn't even exist until it started popping up on the auction market. What? Yes, it turns out there were actually 200 of these prototypes in existence that are currently circulating around, and very recently, one of them sold for $30,000. I will say, we should be a little apprehensive of who it sold from. These are the people that were involved in those inflation video game sales that I talked about earlier. But I still think it's a really cool concept, and truthfully, I think I would pay a lot of money for one. Like, that's amazing, especially if you're a PlayStation and Nintendo fan. It is like a part of history. And I mean, yes, they didn't end up going that route, but it's still like a really cool, like, what could have been collaboration. Is there some drama going around, which is the reason why Nintendo is not involved in the Tokyo Game Show? Nintendo has confirmed on Twitter that they are not participating in the Tokyo Game Show, which kind of makes sense. I mean, it wasn't something I was not expecting. It seems like, especially this year, Nintendo is kind of keeping it close to the vest and only being involved in their own Nintendo Directs. What to me was really interesting, and I'm not sure if this is a translation error, but I thought the tone of their tweet was kind of salty. Nintendo will not exhibit booths or game titles at the Tokyo Game Show 2021 online, to be held from September 30th, 2021. We will only cooperate in exhibiting indie games from other companies. If you are considering participating in the event, please do not make a mistake. That smells of a little drama to me. You know, I don't know. And I was thinking about it. And again, it's originally written in another language, so it could be wrong. But that please don't make a mistake was really suspicious to me. So I did some research back, and I actually found two different answers about the history between Nintendo and the Tokyo Game Show. So who knows which is actually true. But on the other hand, I also found research that Nintendo hadn't had like major involvement in the Tokyo Game Show since all the way in 2005, when the then president of Nintendo revealed the Wii controller. So which is it? The whole thing seems weirdly kind of fishy to me. But again, I feel like Nintendo isn't necessarily involved a lot with conferences or game shows, so it's not out of character for them. Still, that please do not make a mistake was just ringing in my head. That being said, Xbox, Capcom, Namco, and Square Enix are going to be there. Square Enix is actually making a presentation about Nintendo. They're going to be talking about Nintendo's Project Triangle strategy, which is, if you know, the codename for the Octopath Traveler sequel. Regardless of if there's some weird drama on Nintendo's side or not, it seems like the Tokyo Game Show is going to give us a lot of insight for exciting things. Please do not make a mistake while watching the Tokyo Game Show from home. We are starting to get midway into September, which means we are finally starting to see some September game releases, and I'm so excited because there are some games that I'm really hyped up for this month. All right, guys, good news. This week we hit 1,000 subs. Yay! Unfortunately, that is still not enough to make my mom proud of me. So please be sure to subscribe so my mom will stop telling me to get back into science. Is Sonic Colors Ultimate running around at the speed of sound? Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. Wait, that's a rainbow? No, that's Sonic. This will already be out by the time you guys watch this video, but Sonic Colors Ultimate looks so good. I'm really excited. I'm a sucker for Sonic games. This game is going to be a remaster of the 2010 version. The colors are supposed to be awesome. I mean, obviously in the title. Remaster of this is supposed to look really, really good. If you're getting an OLED, I can only imagine what it's going to look like on the OLED screen. I can't wait. The price, It's a little steep. It's gonna be about $59, which, you know, if you get it on Amazon Prime, you got that free shipping. I know I just said I was so hyped from the Sonic game. I just looked at my phone and the game has released today, and apparently it is full of opening day glitches. So you may want to wait a little bit before you buy this for yourself if you're getting a digital copy. Apparently it's so bad Nintendo's actually giving people refunds, and there are a bunch of funny clips all over Twitter about weird glitches people are experiencing. Next up is a game called Lost in Random. Ooh, the description of this sounds really perfect for like fall spooky season. Lost in Random is an action-adventure game where you are part of a cursed kingdom. I know this isn't like a D&D game, but it's giving me D&D vibes just because probably the dice. You play as a character named Even, who's off to rescue your sister Odd. That's cute. Lost in Random comes out September 10th, which should be today! Go and get your copy at Lost in Random. They are not paying me to say this. Next up is NBA 2K22. I know nothing about sports, and I know a little more about video game sports. Also set to come out September 10th, which is today! Unless it gets delayed, and then it's tomorrow. Or the day before. This game is going to be different from other NBA games because they are allegedly adding differences to offense and defense, which is going to make it more competitive and fun overall, as well as post-launch content called Season. Next up on the list to come out, also September 10th. It is just a good day to be September 10th. We're going to be doing an in-depth review of the WarioWare trial later in this video, so be sure to stick around. I'll give you all the information on this then. Next up is Diablo 2 Resurrected, which is set to come out September 23rd. This is a remaster of Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. But this remaster also supports 4K visuals, which you cannot do on the Switch. So if you have one of those other consoles, you're getting more bang for your buck with buying it with them instead of on the Switch. Now, if you know all things Nintendo like I do, you'd be like, wait a minute, Nicole, there's a very important game that comes out September 10th that you did not mention. And that is because I'm about to do a whole review on it. What? That's right, guys, we're talking WarioWare. I am super excited about this game. I love just like fun games that you can play with your friends and pick up. I'm a sucker for mini games. That's why I love Mario Party too. I feel like a majority of my favorite games all have mini games. And there's a lot to talk about with this game. This game is basically just like a fever dream. Like the entire time you're playing it, it's like, is this real life? Like it moves so fast. There's so many colors. There's so many different characters and different ways to play the game. It is easy to get lost very quickly and just swept up in the world of the game. My review is going to be based off of the 10-minute free trial that is available on the Switch for all to play. So after this, you can go ahead and play it for yourself and see what you think as well. Here's my history with WarioWare. One of the very first games I ever had for the Game Boy Advance was a Lizzie McGuire game, and it was just a bunch of mini games that you had to do. And one day somebody said, isn't this just WarioWare? And it was the exact same thing, but obviously a lot better than a knockoff like Disney game that they made just to get like royalties and money. You had to like win all these different challenges, which were just like little WarioWare mini games. Like you had to like try and like dunk someone in the dunk take. So like you had to keep like tapping X to like get them in and like all these different things. If you played WarioWare, it's the exact same thing. They're like random tasks. And it was a lot of fun. Back on like the DS versions of WarioWare, you were usually just using your stylus. Like you were the character playing, like you yourself. But in this, you can actually play as different WarioWare characters. And not only that, but all the different WarioWare characters that you're playing with all have different abilities, which made it really cool again for a 2-player version because you don't know like what the other person's gonna be. Like you are given a WarioWare character at random and you have to figure out how to solve the puzzle using the unique abilities of the random character you were given. This game would also be great too, again, for just families or friends that are having just like new party games to play when you're all together. Because while there is an element of skill to WarioWare games, you can still smash random buttons as long as you know you've got one good player and one player who doesn't know what they're doing. You should still be able to have some fun. All right, it's that time of year again where rumors about the Nintendo Switch Direct are swirling. Now, I feel like all the time people are like, a Nintendo Direct is coming, a Nintendo Direct is coming. And we just got a Pokemon Direct, so I can see some people being like, that's not true, that's not gonna happen. But here's the truth. The truth is Nintendo has had directs in September since all the way back in 2016. We're starting to get to the middle of September, so I'm just looking at my watch waiting for it to happen because I really doubt they're gonna break a routine that they've been in since 2016. Not only that, but they've got a console coming out on October 8th. Like, that is not a lot of time to get some hype up if they don't have a direct coming soon. This is going to be the time that Nintendo's gonna wanna be in the news creating all this buzz for the OLED. So what's gonna happen in the direct? There are a lot of things that have been pushed to 2022 that we are all dying for news on. Breath of the Wild 2, for example. So far, leaks have said to look for Metroid Dread, which makes sense because it's a title release for the OLED. And of course, if you're hyping the OLED, you gotta hype that Metroid Dread to get people more excited to have a game to play on their brand new console. They also said to be on the lookout for updates for Mario Party Superstars, which I'm so excited about because I'm a sucker for Mario Party games. Leaks have also said that this is where we are going to see the final Smash character reveal. I feel like it's the end of an era whenever that is revealed. And I guess that could feel like a good kind of closure for the old era of the Nintendo Switch. And now we're beginning the era of the Nintendo Switch OLED. We're also supposed to get some news for Advance Wars 1 and 2. Now, I've seen some leaks about this next thing, but they haven't been super strong, but I'm going to go ahead and say super strong, guns blazing. I think there is a probably 90% chance that we're going to see some real information about getting Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games on the Switch. There is no way that Nintendo is letting all of these leaks and news stories spiral as out of control as they are if they're not planning on actually announcing it anytime soon. All that to say, I can't wait for the next Nintendo Direct to come out and discuss it all with you guys. And now that we've had all fun and games, it's time for some bad news. And that is that we are looking at another chip shortage, which could spell major bad news for not only Nintendo, but PlayStation, Xbox, and pretty much everybody who loves video games. Earlier this year, Kotaku reported another chip shortage, which if you've been trying to get your hands on a PS5 or even a Nintendo Switch, you know it's making things extremely difficult to get new hardware. Factories have said to continue to expect a shortage all the way until September of 2022, and that some clients might not even see their orders fulfilled all the way until 2023, which is extremely bad news because already you have people vying for Nintendo and PlayStation. Imagine how many more people are going to want them if they still haven't gotten their hands on them by 2022, 2023, which is insane to me because it's like, why would you make a product and like not make sure that enough people can make it to actually fulfill the demand? And I know that there were things obviously outside of their control going on in the world, but it just seems wild to be creating new products while that's all going on. This is truly why I think they came out with the OLED instead of the Switch Pro, because I think the Switch Pro, there was no way that they're actually going to put enough models like out into the market that's going to make it a real competitor the way that the Switch was. Not because people don't want it, but just because they're literally not enough to like actually supply it to people. I think this is the real reason that we didn't get a Switch Pro. I think that there is not enough supply to actually make that a reality. And if they have something like the OLED that doesn't have, you know, that many changes and isn't that different from a Switch, it's not going to cause as much uproar as there being like an elusive Switch Pro that is so much better than what everybody else has, but nobody can get their hands on. Nintendo is a numbers game, right? They want whatever their new console is to get as much money as the Switch when it originally came out, or if not better, right? Companies always want their next thing to do better than their old thing. So Nintendo is not going to set themselves up for failure in a way that they're not going to be able to fulfill orders enough that is actually going to make it worthwhile for them. Which makes me think that if you're not in this first wave of people getting a Switch OLED, you might not even be able to get your hands on an OLED until 2022. I mean, just look at PlayStation. Like, there's still people just now getting PS5s, and even then getting a PS5 is difficult. Imagine a year out from now, I feel like it's going to be the same thing for the OLED. Which again, if you didn't find yourself in that first batch of people to get the Switch OLED, I have an opportunity for you to get one. Check my description for more information.